Whether it's Sydney, Australia, or Mexico City, or Philadelphia, the evening may begin with a big parade, but the crowd that's come for this music man and his rows of virtuosos has really come to hear a waltz. "62-year-old Dutch violinist Andra calls his music a mirror of life, a mix of melancholy and joy, and he's happy to be known as the Waltz King.
When I play in an arena and we start our waltz, and then I see this whole audience smiling and being happy, that's fantastic.
Wherever they are, he'll have them waltzing in the aisles before the night's over. This is classical music, it's been said, for people who don't enjoy classical music. Ryu calls that just snobbery.
The elite grabbed the classical music and said, it belongs to us. It's a sort of way to say, I'm better than you, or I'm more than you.
And you're giving it back?
I think, yeah, that's what I tried. It's not my mission, but I could not make music in another way.
He learned that early. He was only 5 when he picked up the violin at home in Maastricht, Holland, where his father led the local symphony. Young André sat and listened.
He played Strauss waltzes because he loved it. And then I saw this audience, hey my God, what happened? And the people smiled and hummed and
25 years ago, he formed his own small orchestra and named it after that other waltz king, his 19th century hero and model, Johann Strauss.
Johann Strauss is my big example. And you know all this beautiful music he wrote, so I think you can call him a genius. At the same time, he had 5 orchestras, I've only 1.
Now with about 50 musicians, André Rieu's Johann Strauss Orchestra has sold more than 30 million recordings. With 102 concerts grossing more than $67 million last year, it was among Billboard magazine's top 10 musical tour groups, just behind Lady Gaga, bigger than Justin Bieber and Glee. His $3 million Stradivarius has its own bodyguard, and as he sits now overseeing a musical empire, he's still paying attention. Keeping this show on the road employs 120 people, and André has a hand in every part of it, from the pre-concert catering to the pastel crinoline gowns, which he designed.
It's important for me when I look at a girl to see that she's happy in her dress. And she is. Because I always say, when you don't like this color, take another color. I want you to be happy. I want them to be happy on stage. And then I am happy.
It's part of the job.
Marusha, a 26-year-old soprano from Australia, is part of a United Nations of musicians Rieu has assembled.
But we have a lot of people from France, from Russia and Poland.
Many come from Holland, of course, like percussionist Marcel Felicia and his son Glenn.
He's already 20 years in the orchestra and I'm 20 years old.
And violinist Frank Staines, who grew up in Maastricht and was only 10 when he first met the maestro.
And I went up to him and I said, later when I grow up, I want to be like you.
Most speak English, but the orchestra is conducted in Dutch.
You pick it up. It's quite easy, actually. But we all help each other out. We sometimes have sentences with 3 different languages in it just to make sure that we understand each other. So we speak a lot of double Dutch.
We are a big family. And it sounds perhaps like a fairy tale, but it's true. We have fun together. And making music with people you know as long as that, that's fantastic. I only look at my orchestra and there comes another sound. That's better than sex.
Better than sex?
Yeah. It's really true. It's fantastic.
Home's not bad either. A 16th century castle. Andre took piano lessons here as a boy. Now he owns the place. This little southern city that calls itself the oldest in the country is about as far as you can get from Dutch windmills and tulips and still be in Holland. And the most celebrated export here may be Andre Rieu himself.
Dank u.
Bye.
In fact, they say here that Rieu's the most famous person in the world, from Maastricht. It's a compliment he returns with, you might have guessed it, an annual concert. When he's not performing, he's producing. Rieu makes all his own recordings.
I hear a mistake.
He owns his own studio and delivers a finished album or DVD to his record company for sale to his fans. Only when he's satisfied, it's perfect.
Okay, we found it.
His artistry on the violin and the skill of his orchestra are usually praised, even by musical purists who may have reservations about his onstage extravagance. For example, the full-scale replica he built of Vienna's Imperial Palace. 10 stories high and longer than a football field, with fountains, a skating rink, and a ballroom dance floor, it's given ammunition to critics who say he's an impresario of musical fantasy, the maestro of a kind of Disneyland for grown-ups.
Yeah. But you know, Disneyland is a fantastic, successful formula. So give me my part of it.
In other words, what's the harm in that?
I hope the people cry, but not me.
You do hope they cry.
Yeah, of course.
And
because
laugh.
And laugh and dance and whatever feeling. But I want to touch them. That's the most important thing about my making music, to touch the people.